Hello, Cellercise family. We got a battery that's working now. Hope everybody's doing well, having a good holiday season, and looking forward to a good holiday season. We've got a nice program set up for tonight. So I want to thank you all for participating, being a part. Wanted to start off, I found some funny jokes. I thought they were kind of cute, little one-liners, but they're all turkey jokes. So you can use some of these if you want at your holiday gathering. But who doesn't eat on Thanksgiving? You know, Justice?
A turkey.
A turkey, it's always stuffed.
Oh.
Oh, gee, okay. Why did the turkey start a band?
He was a yodeler.
He had drumsticks. What does a space turkey make? A space turkey, hubble, hubble, hubble. Okay, gobble, gobble, gobble. What do you call a running turkey? Fast food. What happens when the turkey got into a fight? He got the stuffing kicked out of him. Why was the turkey arrested? He was suspected of foul play. What sound does a turkey's phone make? You know this one, Justice?
Gobble.
Nope. Wing, wing.
Oh.
Why did the turkey cross the road?
Get away from the killer.
No, to prove he wasn't chicken. Oh. All right. If leaves come from trees, where did turkeys come from? Poultries. Oh, okay. Yeah, poultry. That's a turkey. Oh, there you go. All right. Okay, we've got some great customer reviews. We've got some good questions. I want you to feel free to write questions in tonight if you're able to. We're going to be talking about, it's the new year. We're going to be talking about what are we doing this for? The whole purpose of this is to get results. It's, as good as this Cellerciser is, and it's a great piece of equipment. It's something that you'll have for decades. I mean, and I do want to say, it's quiet. My Cellerciser is built just like yours, so if you follow the directions, you can make your Cellerciser very quiet too. So don't get conned out there by people saying, oh, they're all squeaky. They're not. They don't need to be. And they last. So beyond that, the whole purpose of this is to help you reach your greater health potential, and we all have one. Cellercise, obviously, pumping the lymphatic system. Weight bearing. I had a cute story. Rachel called me up, but I don't know if I shared this last time, but it's worth sharing again. We've had some wonderful customer reviews this last year. And when we get together at the beginning of the year, I may pull some of the favorites from last year, although there's so many. But Rachel called me up, and she'd been on the Cellerciser for a few months. And she called me up about a month ago, and she said, David, this thing's incredible. I said, I know. I said, no. It's really incredible. I said, tell me your story. And she said, all I do on it is get on and do the health of the baby bounce. And I watch a show for about 30 minutes. And I'm losing weight. I've got muscles getting defined, popping out. I feel great. I'm not doing anything on it. And I love that comment because she's doing so much on it. If you were to think conventionally with typical exercise, if you were to apply, say, 20 or 30% more weight to your bicep, and you did 100 curls a minute, and you did it for 30 solid minutes, well, you're going to feel the effect on the muscle that's doing the lifting. Well, that's exactly what she's doing, but she's not lifting that weight away from gravity. She's increasing the weight of gravity, and it's against every cell membrane over 100 times a minute. The cells don't want to rupture, so they're going to respond by fortifying their membrane. You've got 75 trillion cells flexing. That burns a lot of calories. Moving up and down is weight bearing, not weight lifting, and so we don't limit the effect. It's on every muscle, bone, connective tissue, ligament, tendon, skin, collagen, fascia, all throughout the entire body. And we learn how to harness the G forces created on the Cellerciser and the resistance to build up that muscle mass and bone density. And again, without resistance, it's too soft, and this cell doesn't respond by fortifying its membrane. And so you're getting an aerobic activity to some degree, but you have to have the resistance to build the muscles and the bones and the collagen and the skin, etc. So some of these reviews are great. They're new. We're going to go over the reviews. We'll answer some of the questions, and then I'm going to leave you with a story. So Lisa says, I couldn't give you more than on one thumb up with a click. So here you go. And she gives 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 thumb up clicks. She says, I really enjoyed your talk today. It's just what I needed. So glad you mentioned positive thoughts while on this Cellerciser. Never would have thought to do that. Thank you so much, Dave. Thank you, Lisa, for bringing that out and sharing it. And it is so important. There's a detox effect when we're on the Cellerciser. Physically, chemically, emotionally, mentally. As you move up and down on a Cellerciser, you are stimulating up to 90% of brain activity. It's huge. Thoughts will come to mind. If it's a negative one, that is a blessing. It's an opportunity to resolve it. Resolve it. Find a way in your mind to resolve it. Whether that's forgiveness, whether it's sending forth good energy, whether it's forgiving yourself, or someone else. When it comes up, that's an opportunity to move forward, to let it go. So thank you, Lisa. And yes, it does work. Here's another one, another Lisa. Dave, thank you, Dave. I absolutely love my Cellerciser. Anyone who is reading this or hearing my review from Dave, don't hesitate on buying this rebounder. It's different. So different. It looks like every other rebounder that I bought in the past, and I've had 6 different rebounders over the years. Not cheap ones either. The Cellerciser is so good for the lymphatic system. I wake up sometimes a bit puffy. A few minutes of jumping and I'm totally awake and my face starts to unpuff. Lots of laugh out loud, if that's a word. I totally get it. I've only had this rebounder for a few months now, but every time I jump on it, I'm so thankful that it's mine. I'm from Canada, and it was $1,100 by the time I got it. Our dollar isn't worth much and shipping was expensive. Then they changed duty at the border. Grr. Yeah, I don't blame you. After a few uses, I would buy this again and again and never regret it. I can't believe the quality. You can see that this will last a lifetime. And don't forget the bounce. There's just something about it. It's hard to explain, but you can feel that your muscles are responding when jumping. I don't even jump high. So if anyone is on the fence about purchasing one of these, don't. Just buy it. You'll have it forever, and your body will love you for it. Thank you again, Dave. Maybe one day I'll get to thank you in person. Lisa, thank you very much. I look forward to that. You know, we're all this great big Cellercise family going through this life experience together and helping to lift each other up. Melinda writes, Hi there. Just wanted to say how grateful I am, Dave, for returning my call last week regarding my hurt shoulder. I thank you for the exercises you suggested to rehabilitate the shoulder, and if you could just quickly show them in the live so I know I'm doing them correctly, I would love that. Excuse me. My shoulder is getting stronger even though I can only baby bounce still. I am now at the point I can move my arm. I had a dislocated shoulder and MRI showed other damage. So at this point, it just needs to strengthen. And yes, I just ordered a second Cellerciser. So I have one on each floor now. And she sends a smiley. And thank you, Melinda. I love that. So let's talk about that. And I'm not here to give medical advice. I share techniques that I teach doctors, health practitioners, and physical therapists. And these have been very effective. Excuse me. But I want you to feel, if you like it, check with your doctor, because I don't know what your situation is. But one thing I do know is that when we're on our Cellerciser, if our shoulder's in a sling, or if we hold and support our shoulder under the elbow with our hand, and we gently start to move up and down, the actual muscle, ligaments, connective tissues all throughout the shoulder are doing this. They're gently moving up and down. Now, as I've mentioned before, doctors know bones and muscles heal faster and grow stronger when exposed to some stress. That's the idea behind the walking cast. So as you stand there and you just gently support it, you can help promote circulation, reduce inflammation, pump the lymphatic system, strengthen those tissues so they can grow stronger, faster. As you progress, then we can hold underneath the shoulder and then just support it as we gently lift it up. We're massaging all the ligaments and tendons. If you don't believe that's a lot, just grab those deltoids and bounce up and down. That's what's going on. It's a lot. And so your cells are being massaged at the cellular level, not muscles, not individual, everything gently being massaged. So we can become, as we become stronger, we can support it ourselves, or if we need to lift it up and need a little additional support, little by little, we can move it up and move it up. And of course, you've seen some of the shoulder exercises that we do on the Cellerciser. So thank you very much for sharing that. Jim, I love my Cellerciser. Been using it for over 15 years. I am 74 and it keeps me young. Thank you, Jim. And I think that's a big indicator of the value of a Cellerciser, is the people that have been using it 20, 15, 20, 25 years and more. And they still are using it and it's still helping them. And I believe in it. Donna, love you, Donna. I know who Donna is. The best and only exercise that works out the whole body at the same time and pumps the lymphatic system. Thank you, Donna. Pamela writes, I love my Cellerciser. I bought it for myself as a retirement gift. I earned it. All right, Pamela. Patricia writes, yes, 3 exclamation points. We switched from Maximus Pro to our Cellerciser. Yes, we have 2 for the same reasons. Dave Hall was so kind and helpful when we called to order both times. He was just as kind and helpful when we ordered 3 more for our adult children and their families. We told him we didn't want our kids to wait as long as we did to experience the wonderful benefits of Cellercise. Thank you, Patricia. All right, keep it up. We're approaching 80 and feeling better than ever. All right. Oh, we're going to save that one. This is Moreland writes, yes, exclamation points. It seems too good to be true, exclamation points. But this has been the easiest way to lose weight, exclamation points after each sentence. I'm not kidding. I've had mine for 6 weeks and I've been using it for a half hour almost daily. I've lost 7 pounds so far. And it's nice to be able to do that and play in. And again, one of the things that we do in our home is we turn on the Mr. Rebounder app and we'll watch a television show while we do the app. And for 30 minutes, we'll just pick a routine, watch the show, enjoy the show, and get the results. And it's fun. Pamela writes, I love my Cellerciser. I bought it for myself as a retirement gift. I earned it, yep. Okay. How do we get this in the UK? We need a stockist or a distributor, somebody who would like to buy in quantity. Great opportunity for somebody who wants to do that. Okay. Where did all the questions go? Mm-hmm. Oh. Phew. All right, we found it. Okay. I want to read this one. This is from Isis, also known as Mrs. Long. And she gave me permission because I wanted to ask permission if we could read this one. And she's very supportive. But she says, "Dear Mr. Hall, I want to thank you for this awesome trampoline. I've owned a Bellicon trampoline in the past and it made urinary incontinence worse. It was expensive and I saw no other benefit other than the company making another sale for me. I ran across your company via YouTube one day and heard you reading your testimonials. One of your testimonials spoke about the pelvic floor and urinary incontinence being helped by Cellercising. After doing more in-depth research on your site, I found out that you are a man that genuinely cares. I viewed about a year's worth of your David Hall lives and still in process and decided to buy and try bouncing again. Well, let me tell you what I've experienced. Number one, great patience with customer service. Recently, I have moved from Spain back to the US. All my workout gear and equipment are still in transit. I called your 800 number and your friendly voice was there to answer my call each time to let you know that I was moving, and you coordinated the timing and delivery perfectly days after I arrived into the States. Thank you for that awesome customer service and your patience with all my questions and my mom's questions. Number two, inches lost. Since I have not gone to the gym and recently had a small toe surgery, nothing to do with Cellercising, when I was ready, I slowly started to play on my Cellerciser. My husband commented that I looked leaner. I'm a vegan and watch what I eat, but I thank God I can Cellercise because it is the only exercise I've been doing. I don't weigh myself, but I do feel my pants definitely looser around the waist. In fact, my daughter, as I can share pants now, and she's a triathlete. Changed my shoe size. Oh yeah, before I got married, my shoe size was 8.5. After the birth of my daughter and back to normal body weight, my foot size jumped to a size 9 to 9.5. 4 years later, after the birth of my son and back to my normal body weight, my shoe size grew from 9.5 up to size 10, and even a 10.5 in some shoes. Since I've been Cellercising for about 2 months, about 3 times a week, 10 to 30 minutes a day, depending if my kids are home, my foot has shrunk. I noticed that my Skechers shoes I bought size 9.5 were too big after just a few weeks of buying them. Yesterday, before going on a hike, my husband took me out to buy a pair of hiking shoes. I was amazed that my 9.5 and 9 were too big. I then measured my foot with the women's old school shoe scale and could not believe what I saw. One foot has shrunk to 8.5 and the other just a tad over the 8.5 mark. I had to take a picture as proof to show you, and she sent me the pictures. I bought the 8.5 and wore them for the entire hike, and the shoes were comfortable. I knew I had bought the right size. I know this sounds funny to write in about this, but you said this was a family forum, and I thought other women should know of this possibility. This is definitely a benefit. Now that I have a good reason to go shoe shopping again for smaller shoes. I would love to see the Miss Rebounder app categorized by exercises for specific body parts or muscles. I have an older version of the app on my iPad and can't update anymore. So if you have addressed this, please disregard the comment. Thank you, Dave Hall, for your persistence in making such an awesome trampoline. P.S. I really enjoy when you give your motivational speeches, such as seeing yourself as what you can become. It makes a difference. Please don't stop. Have a happy holiday, Mrs. Long. Thank you, Mrs. Long, for your love and kindness and for sharing those words with the rest of the Cellercise family. And yes, a weakest area of circulation is in the lower extremities. The Cellerciser has enough resistance to move fluid through one-way valves. And that's the weakest area of circulation. It helps to move that fluid back through those one-way valves back up toward the heart. Yes, Justice?
Sylvia says, Dave, any new routines for 2025?
We will be. You have to forgive me. My voice has been gone for most of last week and this week, and it's slowly coming back. But yeah, we've got some exciting new routines for 2025. That's one of the reasons we recoded the Mr. Rebounder app, is so we can add new features, new programs, new movements. Yeah, so stay tuned, because we've got a number of new things in store. All right. So thank you for those reviews. They're great. Share the Road writes, do you have any evidence for the detox claims you make? Okay, we talked about that last time. And yes, if you do too much of it, you can detox too fast. And people have been known to get a fever. But as long as you're drinking lots of water, the movement up and down has enough resistance. It can help dislodge heavy metals, toxins, poisons, preservatives, chemicals, pesticides, herbicides, formaldehydes, drugs, all these things that accumulate in the tissue. When we go to massage, and you've had a good massage, they tell you the same thing, drink lots of water. Well, when you're Cellercising, you're massaging at the cellular level. It's not just body parts, it's every single cell. So we can help release those toxins from fat cells. They're doing this from ligaments and tendons and joints and fascia and all throughout the entire body. So most people, that's why I say in 2 to 3 weeks, most people begin to feel like a whole different person. They feel better, perform better. I mean, that's good. Yeah, some of these we didn't read last week. I was getting ready to read them, and we had so many the last time. Are there any specific exercises for negative emotions of fear and anxiety? Yes. Yes, there are. And when you're moving up and down on Cellerciser, visualizing is so important. We're going to come to that. I'm going to give you a story. And that story is a personal experience. And it changed my life. And I want to share that with many of you too. And I didn't bring my success journal in. But Sherry writes, my 80-year-old mother has begun showing signs of dementia. Can the Cellerciser help slow down memory loss by any chance? Sherry, we don't have any evidence one way or the other. We've had people that have made comments. I'd love to get some in writing, but the movement up and down, it's definitely going to stimulate oxygen, blood flow, circulation, and brain activity. So we've done the same thing with people that have had strokes. It's helping to retrain the neural pathways of the brain doing different movements while we're on the Cellerciser. So, yeah, we need more research, no question. Tony writes, yeah, how old are you now? Just 68, no. I hope to be holding. Sharon writes, the music you have on your app, where's it from? Sephora also uses it for one of their commercials, exact same one. And it does, very interesting. It comes from a subscription where you actually buy the actual music so that you can put it on your app. I don't remember where I got it from. I'd have to ask my technicians. Hi there, I've been thinking about purchasing a rebounder and I'm just wondering if it's a good idea to use it if you have scoliosis. And yes, working with a chiropractor and Cellercise, it can help expedite and promote better healing because all the ligaments, the tendons, the fascia, the muscles are trained around the curvature of the spine. And so we have to we have to open that up. We have to loosen that up. And so there are specific movements that we can do depending on where the curvature is to help loosen up those muscles and do things where, you know, you hold on to the balance bar, but do things to help increase that flexibility in the back, and it's gentle. Have you ever used or heard of a foam roller? Yeah, I've heard of them. I don't use them, but I don't. It certainly wouldn't stop you from using it. Would you recommend people use this for the fascia? You can, absolutely. It's not. I don't think it's harmful. They're foam. The wooden rollers and things like that, you have to be a little more careful with because of disc and potential issues that can come if things have too much weight or resistance on it. Does jumping on the Cellerciser exacerbate telangectasias, which are facial spider veins around the nose? It's going to help to open up circulation. Blockages are what causes spider veins. When circulation can't circulate very effectively, then the body tries to find other pathways or create pathways. So Cellercise keeps the blood chemistry so the blood cells are not sticky, and so they can circulate better. And we know that the moving up and down helps break up sticky blood cells, and we've talked about that. Patty says, why, when I do some good for my body, bouncing on my Cellerciser, doing standing rear leg lifts causes excruciating pain? Go see chiro after you were just there the day before, incapacitated for days and ice packs. I'm so frustrated. Patty, call me. I'm not sure what you're going through. Standing rear lift legs causes excruciating pain. Okay, it may be you've got some compression in the back, disc issues, and don't do that. There are movements we can do to help open up the vertebral joints, taking pressure off the nerves and still getting strength, but without targeting an area that might be too weak for that right now. Wandell, any recommendations to heal restless legs? I've had, at nighttime, I've heard of an old grandma's type remedy where if you take 5 tablespoons of yogurt, eat Greek yogurt, plain Greek yogurt, and then eat the yogurt and then get on the Cellerciser and then just gently move up and down, rock side to side, and then just relax everything for about 2 to 3 minutes. So you just relax shoulders, back, and buttocks. Don't fall off. But when you're done, just go directly to bed and call me in the morning. Let me know how it works for you. Okay. I've been using my Cellercise about 20 to 30 minutes in the morning and 15 to 20 minutes in the afternoon. I've seen good tone in my abs. From day one, I have followed your YouTube video showing all the basic moves where you have Justice and Liberty in there when they were still very young. Hey, Justice, I remember when you were young. My question is, can you please advise the best routine or anything else I can do as my belly got smaller, but I have not lost weight? I'm very happy with the belly loss, but would like to lose about 10 pounds. Thanks, Dave. Oh, Lily, if it's, when you're Cellercising, you're putting weight on every protein fiber in your body. Even the blood cells have a protein membrane. And as you strengthen the membranes, your protein to fat ratio is going to change and metabolism can increase. Weight can actually go up or not, you're not losing a lot of weight, but the protein to fat ratio is changing. And so I wouldn't worry so much about the weight as much as it is about the inches. And we've talked about genetic mapping, or what I call genetic mapping. A lot of your weight loss is going to be based upon your genetics. So your body goes after certain areas first. And unfortunately, we can't target reduce fat effectively at all. But we can continue to challenge the body. We can do repetitions of the Jamba run, running in place, where we demand a lot of fuel. And and then the body's going to lose, and when it loses in one area, based upon your genetic mapping, it goes to another area. My daughter Brooklyn wanted to lose weight in her thighs and her buttocks, and that was the last place she lost it. It started from the top down. She eventually got there. But again, it just keep doing what you're doing. It sounds like you're getting results, and thank you for sharing, Lily. Michelle writes, I just have to share a recent experience I had with my Cellerciser. Approximately 1 hour before a big work presentation last week, I started trembling like I had chills, but I wasn't cold. I later learned that my body was responding to stress and anxiety. I tried deep breathing and telling myself it would all be fine, but my body wouldn't listen and my mind kept racing. Finally, 15 minutes before my presentation, I decided to try Cellercising to see if it might help settle me down. I kid you not when I tell you that after Cellercising for 10 minutes, the trembling completely disappeared. Peace was restored, my mind was clear, and I delivered my presentation with ease. How cool is that? My question is, would there be any scientific explanation for this? Oh, Michelle, I love that. That's the first time I read that. And yeah, there's a lot. When the body is under stress or distress, there's the changes that occur within our metabolic processes, within our breathing, chemically as well as physically. Cellercise, we already know, creates an enormous amount of balance. We know that. We can demonstrate that. We do the strength and balance test. It's real. I've posed for several years that Cellercise, as you're moving up and down, the adrenals, the endocrine system, everything, thyroid, is gently expanding and contracting in a balanced state. You're not targeting one part of the body over the other. So if the body gets out of balance and it starts to affect us chemically and physically, and then you bring the body back into balance, it makes sense that you're going to have those kind of results. You know, when babies are growing, and I'm sure there's a lot of chemical things going on in a baby. I don't remember what it was like when I was young, but you'll see a parent often take a baby instinctively, and they just gently bounce the baby up and down. Guys, we should do this every day. And it's great if you can remember to do it at nighttime before you go to bed. Break up the stress, tension, blockages, open up that circulation. Yeah, any plans for new exercises that are on your app to spice up our workout? Yes, there are plans to do that. Okay, that was awesome. Thank you guys. Justice, any comments? Okay, wonderful. I hope everybody is getting ready to have a good holiday, Christmas, and Hanukkah. I mean, just a goodwill, cheerful, joyful holiday season. Okay, so I want to think about some of the comments that we've made over the last year, and then we'll share a little story. But again, the purpose of this is, you know, we're coming up with New Year's resolutions. We have a chance to reflect on this last year and see, did we achieve the things we wanted to achieve? If not, why not? What were the obstacles? What are some of the strategies we might be able to develop to overcome the obstacles? What can we do to help improve clarity in our goals or objectives and the things that we want to achieve in our physical and our health? So, highlights of the year. And you've heard me say some of these before, of course. You can't find happiness at the end of the journey if you're not willing to bring it with you along the way. So often we're looking for a goal or an objective that we want to reach, and we desire to reach the goal with the objective, and we're forgetting the journey. See, the objective is the fruits of the journey, but the journey is where our character is developed. That's where we become the kind of person we need to be able to have the kind of results we want to achieve. So it's that desire, it's that focus, it's that vision. It's that enjoy the moment. Appreciate where you are right now. Don't be critical of yourself. Really. And that brings up another one. Rather than fight against that which is wrong or what we perceive to be wrong, rather than fight against that which is wrong, whether it's a health issue, a relationship issue, an addiction, whatever the case is, rather than fight against it, rather than fight against that which is wrong, promote that which is right. See yourself becoming the person you want to be. So your metabolism is increasing. You're thanking your body for helping you to, oh good, a little bit better, for helping you feel better, perform better. And you're seeing your immune system being better. You're not fighting against illness. You're promoting the causes of health. And it's a different dynamic. It's a different energy. We need to do that. No one can destroy my faith unless I consent. That's been a personal one for many, many years. No one can destroy your faith unless you consent. Don't consent. You have the ability to make choices every day of your life, and I do too. And those choices take us down one direction or down another direction. Another one, at the timberline, where the storm strikes with the greatest fury, the sturdiest trees are found. You know, we're all going to go through our challenges. None of us in this are going to get out of this life, and it's all relative. Some challenges are much harder to deal with than others, and yet they still give us an opportunity to make a choice. Whether they're real hard or easier challenges, they still give us an opportunity to make a choice. And I heard, Justice and I both heard a story of a young lady who is paraplegic, and she's in a wheelchair. And she can't use her hands, but she can use her mouth. And she was working at a register. And she would use this tube that she would use her mouth on, so it would open up and take change out of a drawer, so she could accept people's money and give them their change. And the person who was telling us about this went up to her, and she was so happy. And she was so positive. And he asked her, he said, "How do you stay so cheerful?" And her answer was, "It's a choice." It's good. Okay. You know, you've heard me all say this too. Okay, well, there's a couple. One of them is, whatever you vividly imagine, ardently desire, sincerely believe, and enthusiastically act upon must inevitably come to pass. And some people call that faith. That was from Paul J. Meyer several years ago. I coined it a little differently, and I've added to it from my perspective. And you've all heard me say this, whatever you vividly, or it goes, oh yeah. In order to have what we have not, we must first become what we are not. As we become what we are not, then what we have not becomes the natural manifestation of the person we've now become. But in order to become what we are not, we must first be able to see ourselves, each other, that which is around us, and that which is within us. Not just as we are today, but as the person we can become tomorrow, which is the way I pray God sees each one of us. You see, the moment we see ourselves not just as we are today, in our family, in our home, as a father, mother, husband, wife, in our financial and our career, the dynamic, the kind of person we can become, in our physical and health, our social and cultural, spiritual, ethical, mental, educational areas of our life, is we literally take a moment of time and visualize the person we want to become, and we hold on to that vision, it grows into a desire. As we nurture the desire, that's the exercise of faith. We nurture the desire with prayer, meditation, affirmation, proclamation, declaration. The desire becomes a passion. The passion compels us to action. The action creates the end result. And I ask people, where does it all begin? Where does it all begin? And very simply, it begins with the vision. Ideas affect the way we think. The way we think affects the way we act. The way we act to a large degree is going to determine our results. So if we want to take charge of our results, we have to be willing to take charge of the ideas we are allowing ourselves to be exposed to on a day-to-day basis. Because if we don't, then by default, the ideas that we are holding or being subjected to on a day-to-day basis take charge of us. And as a result of that, we often end up living in a reactive mode, constantly allowing the conditions around us to far too often govern the conditions within us. I want to help you to see how much potential you have toward reaching your greater physical, mental, spiritual, and emotional health. There was a study done by Dr. Yes, Justice.
Amy says, Jamba walk, are the feet to come off the mat?
On the Jamba walk, no. The Jamba walk, you're pushing down into the mat. Feet flat on the mat, bent to the knee, back straight. That's why you have to hold on to something. I do too, because it helped you negotiate your weight and keep it over your thighs. Push down into the mat. Push left, right, down into the mat. That's Jamba walk. Thank you. Okay, keep the questions coming, please. A study was done by Dr. David L. McClellan, Harvard University, many years ago, where they did a study with regards to success and in anything. And the principle was pretty much the same. They found out that at the time during the study, people were still retiring at age 60. And they found that those people that retired at age 60, 3 out of 100 people were independently wealthy. Independently wealthy. They could do what they wanted to do when they wanted to do, pretty much any time they wanted to do it. 3. 10 out of those 100 lived comfortably. That means they could budget, they could make plans, they could enjoy their life. 60 out of 100 barely got by. They lived for 40 years, working 40 hours a week for $40,000 a year on the average, and they woke up struggling for the rest of their life. 27, and I would suggest that number is probably higher if you were to do the study today, but 27 out of 100 people were dependent upon outside sources, family, friends, government. So virtually 87 out of 100 people work most of their lives and are going to be challenged for the rest of their lives. Let's talk about the two groups on top. They wanted to know what separated the two groups. Why was it that the 3% were 10 to 100 times wealthier than the next 10%? That's huge. And so they did the research, and they determined it wasn't because of education. That really wasn't the factor at all. It wasn't because of looks. It wasn't because they were born into it. What they found out that separated the two was simply that the 3% took the time to write down their goals and objectives, the things that were important to them. That was it. They wrote it down. The 10% had an idea in their minds. They had an idea of what they wanted. But they didn't achieve it. If you were to take all of the material necessary to build a home, and you put it out in the middle of a field. All the raw materials are there, everything you need. And then you were to tell someone, yeah, would you take that raw material and build a home for me? I wanted to have 5 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms, and you tell them what you have in your mind. The chance of that ever being built is null. It's not going to happen. You need a blueprint. You need a plan. You need specifics. We spend so much time talking about goals, objectives, things that we want to do, but not enough time actually taking the steps to make the plan to achieve it. And I talked a little bit about that the last time we spoke. So when you think in terms of your New Year's resolution and you're going through the areas of life that are important to you and you're creating a vision, take a moment to write down the steps that you want to take toward achieving that vision. Write down the obstacles that you might have to deal with in achieving it. Write down the strategies you have for overcoming those obstacles. Give me a call if I can be helpful in helping you focus on that. So, 2 young men were standing in front of the high school. Beautiful sunny day, puppy white clouds interspersed a blue sky. There was a Santa Ana breeze blowing, and off in the distance you could see Catalina Island. Our 2 friends have just finished their very first week of high school, and they're standing in front with their peers waiting for the bus to pick them up. And as they're standing there, they're talking about their first week of high school, the teachers they have, the assignments they've received, the people that they had met. And as they're standing there, Joe Jock drives by in a brand newly painted convertible Corvette. He's got the top down. He's got a Letterman's jacket on. He's got some medals glistening in the sun. He's got a cheerleader wrapped around his neck, nibbling on his ear, and a great big Cheshire grin on his face. And as he drives by, he sees his peers and he waves to them. And they all wave and cheer, because Joe Jock's everyone's hero. He's the captain of the football team. He's their all-star quarterback. Besides, he's a likable guy. Well, our 2 friends are watching this. One of them's named Darn I Wish I Had, and the other's named Gee, I'm Glad I Did. Well, Darn I Wish I Had looks over at Joe Jock. He looks at that car. He looks at that letter. He looks at those medals and that girl and that grin, and he says, looks back at Gee, I'm Glad I Did, and says, Darn I Wish I Had that. Oh, Gee, I'm Glad I Did looks over at Joe Jock. He looks at that Letterman's jacket and that car and that girl and those medals, and looks back at Darn I Wish I Had and says, well, you know, darn, they're on a first name basis now. He said, you know, darn, if Joe Jock can do it, so can we. And Darn looks at G in utter dismay and says, what, are you nuts? Have you seen how that guy's packaged? I mean, he's got it all. He's got the looks, he's got the car, he's got the letter, he's got the medals, he's got the girl. How are we going to do that? And he's got the brawn. and G thinks for a moment. He says, well, he didn't always have that. He had to start somewhere. He said, they've got a restaurant that's opening up down the street. They're going to be needing dishwashers. And we're both fast runners. We can try out for the track team. Well, in no time at all, we could be driving around with our own car, with our own letter on our own chest. And Darn says, hello, you can't do that. You don't have time. You're too busy. You have other obligations. Homework, assignments. Besides, you'd have to, we'd miss Star Trek. We watch Star Trek every night at 5 o'clock. But G's not listening to Darn. G's thinking in terms of the person he wants to become and what it would feel like to be that person. And so he goes out and he gets that job as a dishwasher, and he puts his homework in these little clear paper inserts, pins it up on a cork board. So every time he takes the dishes out, the steam fills up and he can wipe off the film or the steam and continue to do his studies, becomes the very best dishwasher. He goes out and he tries out for the track team and he makes it. And it's his first day out on the field. He's decided he's going to become a pole vaulter. He's holding a long steel pole, looking down a long, narrow asphalt runway. He needs to pick that steel pole up, run down that runway, plant the end of that pole into a box that's in the ground, jump up in the air, and land on a net of foam pieces on the other side. And at 129 pounds of determination, he picks up that pole and he starts to run down that runway. And he runs faster and faster and faster. He gets to the end, he plants that pole, he starts on up. The pit's on this side, he gets to about here and he stops. He doesn't know he can let go of the pole and slide down, so he holds on to the end of the pole for dear life as he comes crashing back down onto the asphalt and rolls, and he picks himself up. He dusts himself off. He grabs that pole and he heads right back down that runway. Because one thing that G is learning even that early in life is that persistence overcomes resistance. He gets back down to the end of the runway. His freshman year goes by. His sophomore year goes by. His junior year goes by. He's now a senior at the Freeway CIF League Championships, holding a 13.5-foot fiberglass catapult, looking much further down that runway than he had just a few years before, at a bar whose height he'd only visualized going over. And at 175 pounds of steel determination, he picks up that pole and he starts to run down that runway. And he runs faster and faster and faster. He gets to the end, he plants that pole bends. He starts on up, he sees the bar, he pulls his hips up over the bar. He's on his way back down, the bar's still there. He hits the pit, he's done it. First place, CIF Freeway League Championships. Well, we find the year fast coming to a close. And darn, I wish I had is in front of the school. He's graduated from the bus scene. He's waiting for a ride to pick him up. And he's thinking about how fast those 4 years have gone and all the things he had done and all the things he wished he had done. And as he's standing there waiting for his ride, G drives by in a brand newly painted Triumph TR4A IRS independent rear suspension, little British sports car. He's got the top down. He's got a Letterman's jacket on. He's got some medals glistening in the sun. He's got a girl sitting next to him. And as he drives by, he sees Darn. And he waves to him. And Darn waves back, because they're still good friends. And Darn looks at G. He looks at that car. He looks at that letter. He looks at those medals. He looks at that girl. And one last time, his high school career, he says, darn, I wish I had. A year has gone by. Another year is going to go by. Many of you have taken a step and you're moving closer to, gee, I'm glad I did. Some of you may know people that haven't taken that step. Another year has gone by and maybe they're thinking, darn, I wish I had. But you, all of you, are the influencers, not the influencees. You have the opportunity to make a difference in somebody else's life, and I want to thank you for doing that. Why do I do this? It's not to sell Cellercisers. I believe in them. I know what it did for my health. I know what it's done to my family, and you're part of that. I do it because I know we have a greater health potential, and I think that we need this. I don't think I'd be here today if it wasn't for this. You know, we've all been dealt a hand at cards. And some of us think, hey man, we got a bum hand. We got the 2, 3s, and 4s, and these other people, they got the jacks, queens, kings, and aces. But in the short amount of time that I've been on this earth, I've been able to look at people and I realize, and I've seen the people with the 2, 3s, and 4s outperform those with the kings, queens, and aces to such a degree. I'm convinced each one of us has an equal opportunity to become equal. It's not the hand that we've been playing that counts as much as it is how we play our hand. So I hope you remember that. And I hope there might be something in that. That's helpful. I'm going to leave you with a poem that I internalize, a poem many of you have heard. I first heard it when I was in 4th grade and I was learning how to play the trumpet. And I've kept it for a long, long time. But it goes, if you think you can, you can. If you think you dare not, you don't. If you'd like to win but you think you can't, it's almost certain you won't. If you think you will lose, you've lost. For out in the world you'll find success begins with a fellow's will. It's all in the state of the mind. If you think you're outclassed, you are. You've got to think high to rise. You've got to be sure of yourself before you can ever win the prize. Life's battles don't always go to the stronger or better hand. But sooner or later, the one who wins is the one who thinks they can. You're all winners. I hope you visualize the person you're going to become and enjoy the journey and the process of getting there. And I thank you from the bottom of my heart for giving me the opportunity to be a part of that journey with you. Happy holiday. Have a great Merry Christmas and warm Thanksgiving. We'll see you at the beginning of the year.